Good evening. Welcome. My name is Joshua Gleish. I'm the Associate Director of Administration for Colombia's ERM program, and I'd like to welcome you to this evening's event, the Fall 24 Featured Alumni Series. Before we begin, I'd like to note that the opinions of the panelists do not necessarily represent the views of their organizations. I just wanted to note or highlight some upcoming events for the program. We have our seminars that are offered every Friday and Saturday morning. Those include coding for applied coding for risk management. We've got the IQRM warm-ups and then followed by IQRM seminar and our Intro to Finance seminar. We also have our Build It in a Day seminar, which starts a little bit later in September. Coming back this fall, we've got Exploring the Power of Mindfulness with Rajia Williams-Leong. And then we've got 3 panels towards the end of the semester, another housing bubble, an author spotlight with ERM part-time lecturer Chris Drushotis, and his credit analyst survival manual. And finally, third-party risk management and AI with our professor of professional practice, Sharyar Shagagi. Now I'd like to introduce this evening's moderator, Angelina Zhang.
Hi, thank you, Joshua. Good evening. So a little bit about myself. I am a third semester ERM student. I'll be graduating this December. I studied economics during my undergraduate at Boston University, and I'm very passionate about aviation. So for the summer, I recently completed an internship at Jet Support Services, Inc. in Chicago, and I'm currently working part-time as a cybersecurity risk analyst at JetBlue, and I'll probably continue to pursue a career in aviation after graduation. And now I'll be passing it off to the panelists to introduce themselves.
Thank you, Angelina. So good evening, everyone. I am delighted to be here with you and share my experience in the ERM Master's Program. My name is Duran, and I am an industrial engineer with over 10 years of professional experience. And currently, I work as a senior risk management professional at the Central Bank of Colombia in South America. I would like to take this opportunity to invite you to ask any questions you may have, because we are here to engage in conversation with you and are happy to help you with anything you need. And now I will hand it over to Diva, who was my classmate in this master program.
Hey everybody, really nice to be on this panel. I can easily remember what it is like to be in your shoes. So happy to answer any questions and give my background and experience. So I'm a chartered accountant from India. I have 2 years of experience in audit. Back in India, I wanted to make a gear switch and was passionate to pursue a career in the field of risk. So did my master's at Colombia. Right now I am a ratings associate at Moody's within their structured products team.
All right, lovely. Thank you, Diva. Thank you, Monica. So let's dive right in. I know a lot of attendees today are current students, so I thought we could start by talking about which courses from the curriculum, from the ERM curriculum, that you guys found most valuable in your current role. And maybe let's start with Diva.
Sure. So I think there were 2 courses in the ERM program that are directly relevant to what I do. So I'm kind of biased towards those. One would be external stakeholders, which I think is usually taken in the second semester of when you join the ERM program. So I think why that course has a special place for me is because that course kind of gave me a sneak peek into what rating agencies do. Even before I started at Moody's. So it was kind of a great way for me to understand the rating agency's place in the financial markets, how they interplay with regulators, and also understanding their business model pre and post financial crisis. So it was kind of made me excited about that space. I think the other one is kind of a no-brainer. I do credit risk as part of my daily job. So credit risk is definitely a great resource for me, even today. So credit risk kind of gives like I feel like people within my office circle, they don't really have formalized training at college in credit risk. So that kind of gives me an edge in the sense that I realize that there are some gaps in your knowledge that you can't really fill on the job. So the academic experience really helps. So yeah, these are my two courses. Thanks.
How about you, Monica?
So I think that we have different perspectives with Diva, because I don't know, I think that it depends on the perspective and the work experience that also helps with the favorite courses. But I have a few classes that really stand out as being crucial to my experience. And I will say there are operational risk management, traditional ERM practices, and value-based ERM have definitely been the backbone of what I'm doing now. So since my focus is on non-financial risks, these classes have been like especially key for me. And I think that having a solid grasp on these topics has made it easier to get the most out of the other classes in the program.
Okay, lovely. A bit of a fun fact, Monica was actually my TA for strategic risk management class, which for strategic communications, sorry, for the course I actually found that was one of my earlier classes in the program. It's a first semester class, and it was very helpful for me because I spent a lot of time communicating with clients during my internship. And so that class, and of course, I'm working in cybersecurity, so ITRM, information technology risk management was like really helpful for me. And for you guys, is there maybe a specific instance where a concept from one of those classes sort of directly impact or helped you in a project or decision in your current job?
Sure, could I start with the example?
Yes, please.
Okay, sure. So I'm currently working on a strategic project that is closely related to a concept that we have learned from the value-based class, and it is upside risks or upside volatility. And let me explain a little bit about this concept for those who might not be familiar with it. But when we think about risks, we usually focus on the negative side, like operational errors or technological failures. However, we often overlook like the positive side of these risks. And this positive side is called opportunities or positive volatility. But I have to say that this perspective on risk is incredibly fascinating. And I could talk about it for hours. However, I know that our time is limited. So I want to emphasize that this concept that we learn in class and we cover in class can inspire different projects that could be strategic for the organization we are working on.
Great. How about you, Diva?
Yep, I'd definitely like to add that strategic communications is a favorite of mine as well. It's kind of like the secret sauce that ties all of your technicals together, and it kind of makes you stand out if you have those communication strategies in your pocket when you're speaking to either clients or colleagues. So I think a place where I'll give you a specific instance. I mentioned external stakeholders earlier and the interplay of rating agencies with regulators. So we do get periodic feedback from regulators, and we do get scrutinies and inquiries on transactions that we rate. So because of my background and some of the academic training that I got, I do understand what they're looking out for, because rating agencies are kind of systemic to the financial markets. So it's critical that we kind of give our ratings based on really solid backing and making sure that our analysis is comprehensive and accurate. So it really helps me with those communications. That's an example.
All right, thank you. That was lovely. So for Monica, you mentioned some technicalities and also that you've had a lot of work experience prior to the ERM program. So can you maybe discuss a bit about how your technical competencies and like capabilities as a risk professional have increased or developed through like your varied experiences, like from ERM to your other work experience?
I believe that this is a very deep question, and I will try to do my best to answer it. For example, in the technical part, and in my case, I work in the second line of defense. I have had the opportunity to engage to different projects that have challenged me and make me reconsider what I know about risk. And why is this? Because risk management can be quite complex. And as a risk management, you will need to have like a solid understanding of the business unit you are assisting. So it is not only about knowing about risks, it's also about understanding how the entire organization works. And only then you can provide like this effective support as the second line. And regarding the second part of the questions about about tactical capabilities, I think that facing these kind of challenges that I mentioned helps you to develop different skills, the skills that we have learned in the strategic communication class, for example, to move from knowledge to action. And it also helps you to bridge like the gap between what the business area communicates and how you can translate it into value to the organization through risk management.
Okay, thank you. Is there any like specific things you do to continue to sort of build on these competency to just like stay ahead in your field as a risk professional?
Yes, I have always believed that knowledge needs to be continuously refreshed. And also, you know that the world changes so fast that even if you have work experience, it is crucial to keep like enhancing that knowledge by staying updated on current trends, for example, especially for risk professional as us. So to answer your question, I think that the key tool is the curiosity and the desire to keep learning. So my advice is to enroll in different classes, participate in talks, discussions, and always stay curious about the topics of your interest.
Okay, thank you. For Diva, you spoke about this a little bit earlier. Since completing the ERM program, how has your value proposition or maybe your professional profile has changed, or maybe how have you like leveraged a new skill set to just differentiate yourself in your workplace? I know you mentioned the academics and like specific communications they're looking for, but is there anything else?
Sure. I'll keep this a little light, and easy to kind of give the new students a perspective. So firstly, I think I have had a 360-degree turn with my career because I initially just did accounting and basically auditing financial statements, and that's typically backward looking, which is basically there's no volatility, there's no risk, there's no dynamic environment there. So that is very different from what I do right now at Moody's. I think the ERM program kind of allowed me to shift to firstly make a career change, but also navigate in a very challenging landscape that's kind of exciting and makes me happy to go to work every day. So as simple as that. And in terms of skill sets, I think the risk management program really gives you a way of thinking that probably finance or accounting majors may not readily or intuitively think about. Like for example, risk managers are typically looked at as pessimists or people who kind of don't believe in growing the business or don't believe in expansion. But that's actually not true. It's one of the myths that the ERM program bursts. It's not about mitigating the upside. It's about managing the volatility in the upside. So I think that is a great skill set and a great perspective to bring in the workspace. Apart from that, I think the ERM program makes you realize how interconnected each risk is. It doesn't make sense to think about one silo and come to a conclusion. So these kind of like perspectives really enhance your thinking abilities and basically make your analysis way more comprehensive and make like potentially more accurate as well. So
Yeah, all right, thank you. I think both of you mentioned those great answer. You both mentioned like volatility and then also like a holistic view on things. And Monica, you mentioned like a need to continue to learn. So in your professional experience, I thought we could dive a little bit deeper into that. Is there any emerging trends or challenge that you see in the field of risk management? Or maybe like how do you suggest that aspiring or maybe young risk professional should do to stay up to date and just adapt to these evolving trends, maybe?
Yes, I truly believe that there are many challenges in risk management these days. But if I had to pick two that seem particularly critical, I will say cybersecurity, and artificial intelligence. I'm not an expert in these areas, but I recently reviewed the Gartner report, which highlighted like them as a major trends, and I completely see why, because both of these trends have emerged and are becoming increasingly significant in our field. So it is crucial for us to be prepared and to understand what these trends entail and their implication, because as you know, they have like different implication in different fields. So we as a risk professional need to be prepared for that. So there are many ways to stay prepared. For example, from reading up on the topics and talking to experts, to participate in events, as I said before, related to these trends. And right now, there are a lot of classes available on these subjects. Also, we have books, we have reviews, academic papers, and we have the internet that we can find any information about it right now.
All right, thank you. I definitely agree with the cybersecurity and the AI part. In my current internship, I went in and there was just so many things happening every single day. And then there's like, it's really hard to keep up to. There's so much to read up upon. I definitely agree with that. And all of us have talked so much about my part-time and also your full-time job. I thought we could discuss a bit more about your work. So maybe how did you secure your current role? Is there any specific strategy that you or steps you took during the program or maybe after the program that you found were particularly, I guess, effective in landing your job, and maybe a little bit of advice you would give to like aspiring professionals today?
Yeah, so I don't know. I believe that my story is a bit different from the others. I don't know if I'm the best example, but I'm going to tell you my story. So I had been working at the central bank for about 11 years in different roles where I had the opportunity to stand out leading different projects. So this led me to participate in a selection process for a scholarship offered by the central bank. So they select every year a small group of professionals to receive that scholarship, and I was part of that group. So the purpose for me was super clear: to deepen my knowledge of risk management and then return to my country, return to the central bank to apply everything I had learned about the program. So when I came back to Colombia, I was appointed to my current position, and I know that it could sound a little bit straightforward, but the process was far from easy. So my advice, I will say, is never give up. You can always do it. I know that it could be like a little bit cliche, but it's true. You can always do it and never give up, because dreams come true.
All right, thank you. How about you, Diva? I know you have definitely a different experience.
I'm definitely not. I wouldn't consider myself an experienced risk professional. I'm pretty new to the space and the industry. So I feel like different strategies help you in different phases of your career. So it all comes from what your goals are and kind of having a plan. And sometimes those plans won't work, and you'll probably have to try different things to kind of firstly figure out where you want to be in the industry. And also some steps may work and some steps won't for you. So everybody's journey is different. But I'd give you my perspective and some good techniques that possibly could guide especially early professionals. So how I landed my job is actually an interesting story, because it was actually one of the career fairs that the ERM program had scheduled, and it was an online career fair. So kind of unexpected, where you can randomly schedule calls with people, and you just get 5 or 10 minutes to speak to them, because they have to speak to so many people within the career fair. So I kind of connected instantly with one person, and coincidentally, that person was from Moody's. I made it a point to stay in touch with that person. I was very curious about what they did, what Moody's did, and how I could possibly contribute. And I'm basically trying to understand the culture, the workspace, and just being curious about the industry and um, yeah, and what they do. So I think he was a pretty senior person, and he was impressed that I wasn't asking for a job. I was just interested in the company and what they did. So it just so happened that they did call me for an interview for their summer internship. But that was unexpected. I didn't expect that it would kind of eventually turn into that, and the internship got converted into a full-time offer. So I didn't have to really network. I mean, really do a job search post the ERM program. So yeah, that is my journey. So I think in terms of advice, I'd say something similar. When you're networking with people either at career fairs or you're talking to people in the industry, don't kind of try and directly ask for jobs, because that doesn't show curiosity in what they do. It's kind of a one-sided conversation. So people don't really appreciate that. I think networking is another way to learn new things. It's another way to learn, say, like if somebody reaches out to Monica and asks her about her role, she has 10 years of risk experience. She can give you a very good perspective, but she may not give you a job. But that conversation is still really useful for you. So it's something like that. So I feel like take networking as a way to meet new people and not as a way to get a job. So that is one thing. And also when you're actually interviewing with companies, definitely they don't want somebody who knows everything, because we all start somewhere. So they want to see if you're a good fit for their culture in terms of what behavioral traits you bring, whether you can think holistically, and whether you're curious. Like Monica said, curiosity is key, and just the ability to want to learn. That's all they want. So if you can kind of portray that either through the questions you ask or the conversations you have, that will take you a long way, and you may be surprised sometimes where conversations can lead you to. So that is my advice. And yeah, just in terms of resources, I think Monica was a CDL Career Design Lab intern, so she knows the kind of work they put in. So definitely leverage that. Then for interview prep and resume building skills, stuff like that. Yeah, that and try an internship. I think that's a really big value add to my career journey. So that's it.
Oh, wow, thank you. That was a really comprehensive answer. I definitely agree with the part about networking, because it's like sometimes it's just cool to talk to people who are like passionate about what you're passionate about. And I think some of my most successful coffee chat is also kind of like that. I started off just being interested in their job, and then later on, if they I guess I fit their culture, or if they like me as a person, they'll say, hey, actually, we have a role open, you should apply to it. So definitely not just outright ask for it in the beginning. And Monica, CDL is really helpful for me. My resume was not good before I went there, and they looked at it and they say, no, you should make these changes. And my resume is definitely like a lot better, and I've gotten like much more success with the current one. So Monica, do you want to maybe speak more about the internship or mentorship, or maybe CDL has played in your career progression? I know you said you had a different experience, but
Yes, yes, of course. However, I believe, for example, that the support of the mentorship is really important for us. CDL, of course, is super important because they have like the tools that you need, like to improve your resume, for example, or they have the career fairs. So that's really important. But I also think that the support from the professors during each of the mentoring session was crucial in giving me like the confidence. Even if I was not looking for a job per se, I was like, that gave me like the confidence that I could do great work upon my return to my country and to apply the knowledge that I had gained. And you might wonder why I could need confidence given my years of experience, but facing a new challenge is never easy, especially with the expectations placed on me in my current role. So it is a time when you need to rebuild your confidence to fit in a new role that is completely new for you, and you need to recognize your strengths to tackle any challenge that come your way. So I think that my advice here is to take risk, to get involved, to participate again in everything you can, to keep your curiosity alive at all times. And I agree with Diva on that point. Some people say that when you lose curiosity, you lose everything. And I think that is true. For example, during my time in New York, I had the opportunity to moderate a financial panel at CDL and co-found the Latin American Club in SBS. So I think that we are plenty of possibilities. So don't limit yourself to just the academic aspects. Always strive to go beyond, and you will see the rewards.
All right. Sorry, apologies for the phone. It's my apartment, my bad. Thank you for the answer. I definitely agree with the thing about talking to your professors and connecting with people and just sort of taking risk as well. And Diva, you said earlier, you mentioned the importance of networking and building like professional connections. I thought we could dive in a bit more about that because it's definitely crucial in the field. And can you share maybe a specific instance or story where your network directly like led to a professional? Oh, you actually already said that. Do you have any more advice for maybe like young professionals today to how to sort of start doing it? Because I know it's definitely scary. My first like coffee chat was terrifying.
Yeah, totally understand. I think like I totally agree with you and Monica both. The initial point of where you can get comfortable with the idea of networking is within the safe space of college. So start with definitely your classmates, but our professors are really experienced industry professionals. So having conversations with them can really enrich your knowledge as well. So that's a great place to start. And apart from that, wherever you're getting an opportunity to attend an event, either it's an alumni meet or it's a networking meet which the college organizes, or you kind of go to risk conferences outside of college. I think networking, it I know there are initial jitters before you go up to somebody, but people are more welcoming than you think. I think the way I would tell myself is people are really happy helping others because it gives them a sense of satisfaction. So you're kind of actually doing them a favor by going up to them and asking for advice because they feel like they've done something good in the day. So you're kind of just giving them that satisfaction. So don't be afraid to go up to somebody. But apart from that, I would say networking doesn't stop even after you join a company or you take up a job. It's not just specific to the job hunting process. So a specific instance, and I will be quick because I know we are bound by time. But within my company, I do network. I wouldn't say network, but yeah, I do reach out to people and have coffee chats with them, kind of trying to understand their perspective from, say, a higher up perspective, whereas we do more of the grunt work. So that actually led to opportunities where I could contribute to really interesting projects because they just thought of me because I had a coffee chat with them and was curious about something. So and these projects kind of make my career trajectory really interesting and more fulfilling. So yeah.
Yes, and I also can add a little bit, and I agree completely with you, Diva. And I think that you should be authentic. When you reach to someone to network, you should be authentic, to be honest on the questions that you are asking, that they can see that you are curious about the topics, that you are real, and you want to ask and know more about the topic. So I think that this is key.
All right, lovely. Thank you. I agree with both of your answers. Just be yourself. If you fit the culture, you'll definitely vibe with the people there and get along with them. And I thought we could bring it back a little bit to the program. I know we talked about the courses that's our favorite. Is there any specific success that you maybe achieved at your job by just directly applying skills and knowledge you learned from the program, maybe outside of your favorite classes, or maybe it was the classes, and maybe just like talk a little bit about maybe the impact or value added as a result. And we could start with Diva.
It's a mix of a lot of courses in my head right now. But I think value-based definitely gives you a way to think about unknown unknowns, even though and obviously kind of model that into your risk analysis. So even though we have our, the models at Moody's, we do have our proprietary models, but there are a lot of aspects and factors that models don't capture, and that's where the ERM program kind of gives me that perspective to use judgment and add that into my analysis. That is one thing. So value-based helps with that. And the second thing would be, I know I didn't mention strategic communication in one of my courses, but we do have rating committees where we kind of present our analysis to the board and we kind of arrive at a rating. So it's not only about how accurate your analysis is, but it's also about how you convince the team and how you convince the room. So so risk messaging is basically my point. So risk messaging is something that I learned through strategic communications and the ERM program.
Yeah, great. I know strategic communication is like, it keeps coming back to it. It's definitely important. It's not about how well, not just about how well you can analyze the risk. You have to be able to speak it as well and make other people understand. I definitely agree with that. How about you, Monica?
Yeah, also like continuing your idea, I think that effective communication is key, and you can learn this, or you can enhance your knowledge through the strategic communication class. So thinking about my examples, I didn't expect this achievement, but now that I think about it, I think that it's quite interesting to talk about it. But in the 9 months that I have been working in the risk area, I have had the opportunity to get involved in discussions about implementing, for example, emerging trends and strategic risk within the bank, within the central bank, and to have like a comprehensive view of risk management. And you shouldn't focus just on financial and non-financial risk. There is a world ahead about it. So there are other like specific topics that are really interested and can be implemented in the organization, and you can add value to their implementation. So I think that we can use different concepts and different topics that we learn in class. Even if the concept is small or is simple, you can use it to apply it to your organization, and I know it is going to be successful.
All right, lovely. And I know both of you have like such a fascinating job, and then I'm sure there's like ton of decision making involved in your day-to-day. And of course, oftentimes like under uncertainty, is there any experiences you have where you had to sort of make difficult decisions, maybe like on the spot? And how do you just balance, like, I guess, the need for like quick decisions and then also just for a comprehensive risk assessments? And both of you mentioned that as well. And we could start with Monica, maybe.
Okay, so I'm going to shift to a more personal note on this question. But one of the toughest decisions that I had to make in the recent years was to return to study full-time in another country. So, and if you are asking about uncertainty, I had it all. Studying in a different language, adapting to a new country, pausing my life for a year and a half, and convincing my husband to support this decision. So that was not easy. And also I'm not 24 anymore. So when you get older, it makes it a little bit harder to make these decisions. So, however, it was an opportunity I couldn't pass up. not only for the professional growth, but also for the life experience of living in a city like New York and attending one of the most prestigious universities in the world. So from the very beginning, I had to identify, assess, monitor, and control the risks. And then I made my risk-reward balance. And after a comprehensive assessment, I believe I made one of the best decisions of my life. So the key here is that I was prepared, and you should be prepared to everything and to take proactive steps to mitigate any potential negative impacts in the future.
All right, thank you. And I'm glad you made that decision. It was great to meet you in class. I had a great time.
Thank you.
You
I'm
and-
proud of you because I knew you have the potential to do a lot of things, and I'm proud of you, and I'm proud to see you here presenting this panel.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you for replying to my emails. I had a lot of questions. For Diva, I'm sure you have a different experience as well.
Yeah, I think you know, I'm still new in the industry, so I don't really have to make really high level decisions. But as part of the role, I think we do have to interact with a lot of issuers. We don't call them clients. So the thing is that they are kind of aggressive, and some of them, and they may want a certain rating, but we cannot abide by that because we are kind of independent and have to have a fair view and act on behalf of the investors. So it is very interesting to see how to manage that expectation and also maintain a relationship with them. So it's a really interesting balance, and there are a lot of the difficult part is more about communication of why we believe the risk that we've assessed is better than what they've assessed in terms of the same product. So it's kind of a back and forth, and it's a balancing act constantly. And typically these decisions have to be taken very quickly in terms of timeline. So yeah, it's a constant juggling act. So that's what comes to mind.
Okay, lovely, thank you. Again, both of your jobs seem really complicated. Diva, I took external stakeholder risk management as well, and it's really cool to just see like things I learn in class is what you do every single day. And of course, Monica, central bank, it seems really hard. I would be really scared to work there, but it's really cool that you're doing that. So I guess as a seasoned risk manager with like experiences in the central bank, you like understand how important risk management is, and then maintaining, I guess, like stability and efficiency of like a national financial process. So what are some like key considerations and maybe challenges you have in, I guess, integrating risk management and ensuring like, I guess, how effective they are across like such a huge and complex organization?
Yeah, so difficult question. I could give a lot of key consideration involved, but at the moment, two particularly comes in to my mind. The first one could be like the alignment between risk management and strategic planning, because as you mentioned, this challenge is relevant in a complex organization like a central bank. So a major consideration is that the ability to align risk management frameworks within the bank strategic planning processes is not easy. And these strategic planning processes include objectives related to monetary policy, for example, financial stability, and even aspects of the country like cultural network. So this is the first one. The second one, I think that is closely related to the first one and one of the most crucial for me, and it is the alignment and communication between senior management and the risk team. You know that effective communication is a beautiful concept, but it's not easy. So the communication between these parts, between the senior management and the risk team, helps to ensure that risk-based decisions are made at all the levels of the organization. And it helps you to integrate risk management as a core component of both strategic and operational processes. So I think that these two key points are really important for the organization and are crucial.
Okay, lovely. For Diva, Monica talked a bit about her experience in a bank, and I know you definitely have a different experience in a rating agency as someone with like experience in both, I guess, financial side, financial analysis, and also credit ratings. You bring like a very detailed understanding of credit risk, as you mentioned, for the coursework as well. How do you sort of navigate, I guess, the challenge of evaluating like credit risk in a structured finance product? I know you do that, and while ensuring, I guess, accuracy and thoroughness in your rating? I know you mentioned some difficulties there, but I thought we could dive in a little bit deeper.
Sure. I'll try to make it a little, I won't go too much into the technicals because I want people to relate as well. So I'll start off with saying that, like Monica mentioned in the beginning of the alumni panel series, is that the landscape is constantly changing. Right. I mean, from 2020 onwards, you can see that it's been a whole roller coaster ride for everybody in terms of COVID, and then everybody being scared about a recession in recent times and stuff like that. So I think the macro environment is constantly changing, and that definitely affects what we do as well, because we don't work independently. So we kind of have to look at how the economy is doing, where it is headed. So it's really important to kind of stay informed about what's happening within our surroundings and kind of relating it to your job. So that's one way of keeping our analysis more relevant and accurate. So that is one. The other thing is that we cannot think in silos anymore. Like I mentioned, things are getting more interconnected than ever before. Like, for example, we do evaluate and think about AI risk in terms of our job, and it's a constant idea that the management talks about, because they feel like generative AI is a really big part of the future, and it will definitely be used a lot more in our workspace than before. So evaluating those risks while using it judiciously is a very important concept. We also do think about ESG risk, and which is a new course in ERM as well. So we cannot think in silos anymore, yeah, staying ahead of staying on top of the news, and staying more involved with what's happening within your industry. I think that helps a lot. And in my job specifically, there's a lot of number crunching to do. So I feel like the ERM program does give you a conceptual knowledge, and you can tie that like a story in terms of what we see on our day-to-day. Like, the numbers do tell you a story that you can kind of catch somewhere in your ERM program. So yeah, that's kind of what helps me in my role.
All right, lovely. I definitely agree with the staying on top of things, just reading on things, and then to the emerging trends and how everything is sort of like integrated together is not really like a silo thing. Like, every day we have like meetings at work where we talk about like the new things that happen in aviation. Like, we just, like with the CrowdStrike incident, it's like, it's not really just like something happens somewhere else in the world, but it definitely like has effects through everywhere. And it's definitely, and both of you mentioned, I definitely agree with that as well, to just read up on things and continuously learning. And that's my questions, but we have some questions here from the attendees. So we have one question. So what advice would you guys give to our students today to sort of just get the most out of their time in the program? And I thought we could start with Diva.
One advice I would give is definitely be more engaged with the program. It's not just about attending. Definitely have a very interactive classroom session, but it's also about what you do outside the classroom. And if you're looking to stay in New York or in the US and try and get a job, then you do have to manage your time between that job hunting process along with maintaining your coursework. So kind of don't get overwhelmed. Make like smaller goals for yourself in terms of daily routine. Add some things to your routine, and it'll become easier than you think. Definitely leverage CDL, and your professors to get a good idea of what you can do both from the job process as well as get more adept at the risk space. I would definitely say for early professionals, I definitely advise doing an internship because it allows you to figure out what you want to do, number one. And secondly, it kind of ties to what you've done in the program and is a great way to have a full-time offer as well. If you're planning to stay in the US. So yeah, that's my advice.
Yeah, I definitely agree with like speaking to your professor and also the internship because I just learned so much at my internship that I did not know was a thing. There was so much about business aviation I had no idea about. And also with my professors, they taught me a lot because they're all working, a lot of them are working full time and they have so much like career experience and sometimes they would give perspective that you don't even sort of think about. So I also definitely recommend like having a coffee chat with your professors and of course your TAs because they're also really cool people too, like Monica.
Thank you.
Do you have any advice for the student?
Yeah, I think that Diva said everything, I think. But be dynamic, stay curious, ask questions, go outside. It's not on, don't focus only on grades. It's not only about grades, it's also about speaking with people. It's like go to your professors, ask questions. If you are not sure about the field that you are interested on, you can talk with them, like have like a new perspective, going to events. I don't know, like we have like a lot of opportunities when we are studying at Colombia, and they have like different events that we can participate on. So get the opportunity, give you the chance to know different people. And I think that's all.
All right, thank you. Someone asked if you could speak a bit more about your jobs and maybe some projects that you found most interesting or most like rewarding and applicable to your growth as a professional, and just something interesting you did at work because you both have like very interesting jobs. Does anyone want to start with that?
Maybe I can start. As I mentioned, I have been working on strategic risk management. Uh, I work in the second line of defense, but I have some projects related to strategic risk management and also to upside risks. Those are like some strategic projects that I have to develop until December. So I have a deadline, and I think that there is a lot of information that you can find about it, but it's really interesting to see how a central bank can also find opportunities in risk, and also how the strategic risks can shape the strategic planning of the company. So I think that those projects are really interesting and can like help me to shape my professional experience in this field, because it's not only about risk assessment. As second line of defense, we can help the other business areas. However, I think that there are other projects that we can get involved that could be interesting and can help us to like to enhance our knowledge. It's like not only get on a case, but also like find different topics that could be interesting for you.
All right, lovely. How about you, Duran?
I recently mentioned ESG risk. So it's really interesting to see how ESG kind of ties in with structured products because it's never an idea we thought of. It's actually a new initiative, that we are kind of taking into evaluating that side of risk within this space. So yeah, that's a really interesting project and totally new skill set that you kind of need. So yeah, that's something I like to talk about.
All right, thank you. We have another question on if you have any advice on choosing which area of ERM to work in. And for example, you chose credit risk and Monica has prior experience, but is there anything that sort of affected your decision? I know we can start with Diva. You did a big pivot from accounting to credit risk. Is there any specific things happen? I know you did touch on it throughout our panel, but is there anything else maybe that helps maybe like an aspiring professional to either like confirm or like decide on where they want to do in their career going forward?
That makes sense. I think what really helped me is that there are so many like I don't know if you remember, but in the beginning of the program, they have an ERM introduction where they kind of give potential career paths if you take certain subjects within the course. So that gives you a good idea. But when you talk to people, there are so many career paths in terms of what people do that I was never aware about. So I think the thing that really helped was just to speak to professors and speak to more experienced alumni like Monica and others, and also speaking to basically use networking here in terms of if you're confused as to where you'd like to pivot. It's really helpful making a SWOT analysis of yourself as well to see what where you would be a best fit for, but to get perspective from people who are already in the industry is a really easy way of getting better clarity as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the SWOT analysis is a great idea. It's a great idea. I agree with you because I think that you should find the things that you really like. I know that it sounds easy and it is not easy, but you should like start to find out which topics do you like the most. I'm going to tell the truth, but I don't like financial risks. I don't like them at all. I prefer non-financial risks. And I knew it from the beginning because even if I know how to use the numbers and I know the finance part of the companies, I don't like it. It don't really like have my attention. But when I talk about operational risk, I think that I feel passionate about it. So find your passion, and how you can find your passion, speak with other people, uh, read about the topic, listen to podcasts about it, watch videos on YouTube, I don't know, on different sources that you can find information about it, and you can know through these specific things, you can know if you like it or if you don't like it, and you can find what you enjoy the most.
All right, I definitely agree with that. You have to definitely find something you like or not, and you can start maybe with like a SWOT analysis and your strength and your weaknesses. I think those are both great ideas. And I would also say maybe add on to that, an internship in your intended career. If you kind of have an idea of what you want to do, definitely try to do an internship in there. And then once you do it, like after speaking to professionals, but also just speaking to people, I guess, on the job, you'll find out like, oh yes, this is what I want to do every single day. I've had internships where I did a commercial leasing internship for aviation. I was like, okay, I love aviation. And I've done other internships that I did not like as much. And I was like, okay, I don't think I'm able to keep up to the pace, or it's just maybe not the best culture fit for me. So I think after the internship, it kind of definitely showed me the direction where I want to do. But both the SWOT analysis is cool. I will definitely try that myself. And I guess we have one more question for tonight, just a quick question. We have like 5 minutes. What were some ideas that you entered the program with or your job with that kind of either were confirmed or dispelled by the end of that experience? Or I guess maybe like as you're doing it, you're like, okay, this is not what it is. I think for me, like aviation, because previously commercial leasing, I did not get to talk to people as much. There was a lot of like numbers and analysis, but then when I did business aviation, it was like a different area. But then I realized I actually speak to people a lot, and it's a very sort of relationship heavy industry. And previously I thought it was just planes and, plane fuel prices and like flight paths.
Yeah, maybe I will say for me it could be, I don't know, strategic communication.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning I was like, I know how to present in public. I don't have any trouble to speak in front of other people. So I don't need that class. I don't really need that class. I don't need to know about negotiation because I do it every day in my job. But that was not true because you can learn like different tips, different concepts that, and I think that every concept and every class can help you to make it better. So don't get into the program with a bias because you can learn a lot on it.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. You gotta keep an open mind, and then so you'll learn new things.
Yes, of course.
Mm, there is another attendee that would like to learn a bit more about internship opportunities. So I thought, Diva, you could speak a bit more about maybe just your time at Moody's. I know you spoke about it already, but it seems like a great path, and obviously clearly you did very well in your internship.
Yeah, internship opportunities. I think there, I think, yeah, firstly, I would like to say that, if you're interning in the US, I'm sure, Angie, you would know that sometimes recruiting starts way ahead of time. So if you're recruiting for the summer, some people start recruiting maybe 7, 8 months or even a year before that. So that was so that is a very surprising fact. But yeah, like you need to kind of do, apart from like going like diving into your coursework, you also have to kind of look at the internship aspect quite early if you're planning to do that. So that is one thing that I'd like to say. And so that is, so I think the earlier you start, the more options you'll have. That's what I've seen. And the other thing is that the more time you give, like if you make it a conscious part of your daily routine, like I mentioned, you will make time to attend events or even speak to people, and that will give you a lot of ideas going into the program. So even if you feel clueless, it'll kind of start making sense once you make it a practice. So yeah, about Moody's, like I mentioned, I did get the opportunity to learn about that career path through a career fair. It wasn't planned. Like, yeah, I wouldn't say that I came in with this idea of this is how it'll go, but I think just doing these few steps will lead you somewhere. So yeah, that's my opinion.
I agree. It's definitely like balancing act. Like currently I'm applying for my full-time job. Just as you say, you have to really dedicate a bit of your time every day to doing like job search, or else it's very easy to sort of slip your mind after it's over and when you're like kind of caught up in your coursework. So definitely start early in the semester before, I would say, the work pile on, and then you have your midterms and your finals and you get stressed. And definitely start early. The recruiting timeline is a bit complicated, so definitely look at it now. A lot of them have definitely started now. And I think that will be all. I think we answered all the questions, and thank you too for being here so much, and thank you everyone for attending, and have a great night, everyone.
Thank you.